Well, how about venturing back more than 100 years into a Victorian mansion once owned by one of the wealthier families in Grand Rapids? You're going to have the opportunity coming up here.
You can learn all about the fashions of the late 1800s, snack on tea and goodies inside the Voigt house. It's a home that's usually closed off to the public.
Not too long ago, we toured this beautiful home located in the historic Heritage Hill neighborhood. Take a look. Ever wonder what it was like to live in Grand Rapids more than 100 years ago? Well, we're giving you a glimpse of life as a prominent Grand Rapids family, the Voigt family, that lived in this house, which was built in 1895. Come on, let's take a look inside. As you can see, the house looks very different than houses of today. We're talking with Chris Carone, Director of Education for the Grand Rapids Public Museum, which owns the Voigt house, and learning a little bit about the Voigt family that lived here and the really cool furnishings inside. Thanks for having us here, Chris.
You're welcome. The Voigt family lived in this house from the time it was built until the time it became a museum in the 1970s. And so 95% of the things that you see in the rooms here are actually original to the family that used them here.
Wow.
We're in the hallway right now where they would have received guests. Here you can see a card receiver. Things were very formal. Mm-hmm. And so you would have introduced yourself, given a card to the maid. They would have placed it in the receiver, then made sure that the family was willing to welcome them into the parlor.
Wow, that's amazing.
Back here you can see what's called a combination fixture. At the time the house was built, electricity was available, but it wasn't always real stable. So they had chandeliers and electrical pieces that also had gas fixtures in them, so that if the electricity went out, they'd still have some light.
Kind of nice invention. We could use that
absolutely.
Today. This over here is called the music room, and this isn't something that you see in a lot of homes, but obviously the Voigt family was a lot wealthier than most.
Well, today we watch TV, we play Wii, we get on the computer. They didn't have any of that, and so they really entertained themselves. Mm-hmm. Many of the family played musical instruments, the piano, guitar. They bring guests in and have sing-alongs to entertain. They have fireplaces all throughout the house, although a lot of them weren't even used that much. They were primarily there just as decoration that said, this is a warm, welcoming place.
Oh, wow. So another essential of the home was the place where everybody ate. So let's take a look at that.
Okay.
Chris, back in the Victorian era, the dining room was a really important place.
Absolutely. It was a formal place for entertaining. It was where the family gathered each and every night. It was where you entertained guests, and even in the case of the Voigts, where they probably had business meetings sitting around the dining room table. The dining room was much more formal than the kitchen. The kitchen was where the maids prepared the food. They brought it in and served it to the family in here. It wasn't where you wanted to entertain or show your guests.
Yeah, okay. What about the walls? They're covered with tapestry?
Yeah, these are Belgian tapestries that show sort of a forest. There's a whole forest theme going on in here. Mm-hmm. There's stenciling around the cornice that was actually done by one of the daughters in the family. And the wooden furniture that's in the room is Berkey and Gay oak furniture that was actually made here in Grand Rapids.
Okay, well, we also see a radiator because the house was heated by radiators, right, but it looks different than the others.
Yeah, again, with the formal way that you would serve multiple courses of food, the radiator actually has embedded in it a plate warmer. So the maids could bring in some food, place it in the radiator where it could keep warm until it was ready to be served.
Interesting. So the house has 5 family bedrooms and 2 bedrooms that were used for servants?
Yes, we're in Emma's room. Maybe unlike many houses, the Voigt children lived virtually their whole lives in this house. And so Emma's room, she decorated, and this is where she stayed for decades. In Victorian times, decorating was very masculine or very feminine, and so here in a woman's room, you see a lot of decoration, a lot of curved forms, and that's really in contrast to something like Carl's room, which is dark woods, heavy carving, smoking stands, beasts, things that you would consider very masculine.
So there are no longer public tours here at the Voigt House Victorian Museum, but how do people experience this for themselves?
Well, we do tours by appointment for things like design students who want to see how a house looked 100 years ago. We also do a lot of immersive special events like summer camps or our fashion and teas, where people can really learn about clothing of the Victorian era.
Wow, well, thank you for a glimpse inside life, what it was like here in Grand Rapids for some families over 100 years ago. We're here at the Voigt House Victorian Museum.
It is like stepping back in time. The Voigt House is actually located across the street from our Wood TV studios.
I know.
We see it all the time. We don't get in that often because it isn't open to the public. That makes this opportunity even more special.
Oh yeah, occasionally, they do have tours. Sometimes we see large groups of people going in, but those are very special events. And so really you don't always get the opportunity to go just with your girlfriend or maybe take your kids for that wonderful opportunity.
A learning opportunity. The Voigt House will be open for an afternoon of fashion and tea next Friday and Saturday. We did find out that one is sold out, but the museum will hold similar events on April 20th and 21st and May 11th and 12th.
Wow, wonderful. The Voigt House is located at 115 College Avenue, just south of Fulton Street in Grand Rapids. It costs $10 for members of the Grand Rapids Public Museum. Non-members pay $12. And so, yeah, what a great opportunity. And just, giving you an idea, that first one already completely booked up. Really make sure you get online to reserve your spots for the next two opportunities.
I'm sure they will go fast. And especially, there's an exciting tour and heritage held each year. This amazing home that has not been converted into apartments. It's a very large home, occupied, as we said, by one family for a very long time.
It's a treasure.
Intact. It's beautiful. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Your all-access pass to everything West Michigan.